They told us to look down, into our screens, into ourselves, into the endless scroll of curated distraction. But for those who've dared to look up, something has shifted. The sky, once predictable, once a map of seasons, stars, and storm fronts, has become unfamiliar. Not suddenly, not with spectacle, but gradually and with precision, as if rewritten. In the late 20th century, weather patterns followed cycles that could be tracked, forecasted, anticipated. Farmers relied on these cycles. Migratory birds followed them. Even our bodies aligned with their rhythm, but that rhythm began to break. Droughts now appear in places once flooded. Hail falls from clear skies. Storms twist unnaturally as if steered. Mainstream explanations cite climate change, carbon emissions, or statistical anomalies. But those watching closely see something else: intention. The term geoengineering entered public discourse quietly. Papers were published, grants distributed, committees formed. Under the guise of climate emergency response, projects began to manipulate atmospheric conditions. Stratospheric aerosol injections, cloud seeding, weather modification for military applications. These weren't theories, they were trials. Public records confirm patents filed by private contractors for devices designed to disperse particulates into the upper atmosphere. Metallic salts, barium, aluminum oxide. They claimed it was to reflect sunlight, cool the earth, but they never asked who approved it or who monitors its side effects. There's an old military document, declassified quietly without fanfare, entitled Weather as a Force Multiplier, Owning the Weather in 2025. Written in the late 1990s, it outlines a strategic vision where control over weather becomes a tool of dominance. Hurricanes, droughts, even fog, re-engineered to favor one side over another. At the time, it was dismissed as theoretical, but the technology caught up faster than most realized. Jet trails no longer vanish within minutes. Some linger for hours, expanding, crosshatching the sky in patterns that defy natural airflow. Meteorologists call them contrails, but those who observe closely, who archive time lapses and compare wind patterns, know better. Chemtrails, once a fringe label, now accompany visible shifts in ultraviolet levels, unexpected temperature drops, and electromagnetic disturbances. This isn't about conspiracy, it's about omission, because the sky no longer behaves as it used to. Sunset hues have changed. The stars, even on clear nights, shimmer behind a thin metallic haze. Pilots report altitudinal anomalies. Satellite data shows irregular heat signatures across cloud banks. Something is bending the natural laws, recalibrating. And still, the message is clear. Keep looking down. But if you raise your head at the right hour, just before dawn, or deep into the night when surveillance relaxes, you might catch it, a flicker, a trail that glows in wavelengths we were never meant to see. It doesn't last long. If this stays online, it means they missed it. The deeper you look, the more you find patterns, geometric alignments in the dispersal of aerial trails, symmetrical anomalies in cloud formations that stretch across hundreds of miles. These aren't coincidences. Nature does not paint in grids. Satellite imagery analyzed by independent researchers reveals radial cloudbursts originating from points with no topographical justification, no mountain, no heat source, no industrial activity. Yet the burst expands, spinning into formation like clockwork. Reports from rural areas speak of metallic dust settling on leaves after high-altitude flyovers. Farmers have seen crop behaviors shift, soil acidifying, pollinators vanishing, water retaining strange iridescence. Laboratories trace the residues to nano-sized particles, engineered for atmospheric suspension. They fall slowly, almost imperceptibly, and accumulate where no one's looking. Official statements label it harmless, but chronic respiratory conditions, neurological complaints, and immune dysfunctions spike in synchronicity with atmospheric events. It's never confirmed, only correlated quietly, strategically. The organizations behind this remain elusive. The funding threads vanish into black budgets, subcontracted layers, and non-disclosure agreements. Agencies deny coordination, yet their atmospheric data curiously aligns. Planes without transponders fly in synchronized grids, often at dawn or dusk, avoiding commercial patterns. There are no passenger windows on these aircraft. They fly low enough to be seen, but high enough to be questioned only by those with instruments, flight tracking apps, or long lenses. And when someone speaks up, the narrative shifts, debunked, dismissed, discredited. But the sky isn't the only canvas. The frequencies around us are shifting too. Infrasound pulses have been recorded alongside atmospheric disruptions. In multiple cases, entire towns reported a low-frequency hum, non-directional, almost felt more than heard. Mainstream coverage brushes it off as industrial noise or psychological suggestion. But seismic data contradicts that. Instruments detect spikes in electromagnetic activity shortly before or after such events. Birds flee en masse, dogs panic, and then silence. Institutions claim it's all in our heads, but the patterns are too consistent, too deliberate. When weather shifts become predictable only to those behind classified terminals, we are no longer observing nature. We are watching a controlled environment. And that brings us to something few will discuss openly: the masking. Above the layer of clouds, we're told to accept lies another thinner veil, visible only under certain light conditions, or through specialized lenses. Pilots flying at cruising altitude have photographed skies that seem partitioned, as if one atmosphere overlays another. Light refracts in strange arcs. Rainbows appear without rain. The sun itself flattens on the horizon, distorted not by humidity, but by something else, something layered between us and what we once called real. Save this while you still can. If you're afraid you're being poisoned without knowing it, I invite you to the Banned Protocol book. Inside, you'll discover what truly lies behind what they call modern life. In 60 pages, you'll start reconnecting with reality. Early readers have already started applying the protocols and reporting real changes in their health and awareness. Check the pinned comment below. The manipulation doesn't stop at sight. It extends into memory, into what we believe the sky should look like. Older photographs, analog captures from decades past, reveal skies of deep azure, cloud patterns with definition and depth. Compare them to today's images: flattened hues, a constant gray-white glaze, even on clear days, clouds that resemble smears rather than structures. We've been conditioned to forget. The baseline has shifted. New generations grow up never knowing a truly unfiltered sky. The educational system, media, and weather reporting normalize the anomalies. Forecasts that once dealt in seasonal cycles now read like damage reports. Unprecedented, record-breaking, and unusual for this time of year. No context is given for why these phrases have become daily occurrences. Just the calm cadence of anchors, as if chaos were always part of the script. In regions once immune to extreme phenomena, bizarre meteorological events become routine. Snow falls in desert heat. Thunderstorms flash without clouds. Colored lightning dances in unnatural formations, then vanishes. Governments issue statements about climate change, but never about the machinery behind it. And when they do, it's always future tense. We might need to intervene, as if it hasn't already begun. But the patents say otherwise. Hundreds of them, filed over decades. Devices to alter precipitation, disrupt hurricane paths, ionize the atmosphere, each proposal cloaked in benevolence, food security, climate defense, disaster prevention. And yet, every field test leaves scars. Crops destroyed by unseasonal frost, populations displaced by engineered droughts. The interventions are real, but so are the side effects, which raises the question, are the consequences accidental or by design? There are whispers of satellite-based climate control arrays, platforms capable of directing microwave or electromagnetic energy into the troposphere. Independent researchers who track energy signatures have recorded irregular pulses originating from known military installations. These bursts correlate with sudden weather shifts in targeted zones. Coincidence again, or calibration? And here's where it grows darker. Some of these technologies weren't developed here. Declassified documents from the post-Cold War period reveal joint projects with nations whose records are sealed, their research untraceable. The language used is clinical, detached. Weather optimization, environmental influence operations. Nowhere do they mention public consent. Nowhere do they address long-term ecological fallout. And yet the skies above us continue to change, quietly, consistently, without pause. There was one researcher, anonymous, who published a single paper titled "The Silent Dome." It was pulled within hours, but fragments remain. One phrase stands out: they are terraforming memory. A strange claim, unless you understand that the sky is not just above us, it's inside us. We carry its shape, its colors, its rhythm in our biology. Change it long enough and you rewrite what it means to be human. And somehow this still slipped through. There are places, remote, sparsely populated, often near restricted airspace, where the sky behaves differently. Observers report unnatural polarization of light, auroras in latitudes that should never see them, and clouds that glow faintly in geometric pulses. The air carries a static charge, and compasses spin briefly, unprovoked. Birds avoid these regions. Surveillance drones do not. The local wildlife thins, but ground sensors pick up frequencies most receivers do not even register. One account, buried in a now defunct academic journal, described a temporary curtain in the atmosphere, visible only through infrared imaging, oscillating slowly as though reacting to something behind it. The implication was staggering, that the atmosphere has been layered, modified not just for weather but for concealment. What it hides remains a question with no answer in public archives. Yet across the world, scattered civilian arrays continue to capture anomalies, frequencies, emissions, shapes. From amateur HAM radio operators to retired meteorologists, a fragmented network documents what official sensors omit. Some of them go silent without explanation. Others are discredited, framed, or vanished from online presence. But their data persists in decentralized backups. Encrypted, mirrored, patterns continue to emerge. The changes are not random. They follow trajectories, test fields, reactions, adjustments. And in the midst of this, we're given new narratives. Look here, a rocket launch. Look there, aurora borealis caused by solar storms, fire rainbows, sun halos. Beautiful, they say. Natural, they assure us. Rare but not impossible. Just ignore the increase in frequency. Just ignore the missing context. No one asks why events that used to happen once in a generation now occur monthly. No one is allowed to. Satellite feeds are delayed. Weather maps are redacted in real time. Live cameras experience technical issues during moments of atmospheric abnormality. The architecture of concealment is digital and redundant. But occasionally, a glitch, a frame of truth slips through. And those who archive these fragments know to save them, quickly, quietly, before the system corrects itself. What we face is not merely environmental engineering, it is perceptual control. A redefinition of the visible, the audible, the remembered. If they can command the sky, they can command belief. And if they can rewrite the sky above, how long before they rewrite the earth below? This wasn't supposed to be heard.